Hi, and welcome to Spotlight On. My name is Sarah Kennedy.
And I'm James Morrow.
On today's show, we have Stephen Quezada from Breaking Bad and also Leo York from Inhabitants of Burke. So stay tuned and watch. So, like I said before, this is Spotlight On, and again, I am Sarah Kennedy, and this is James Morrow. Our first guest today, you may know him from Breaking Bad. He is all over the place, and we are so excited to have him here. Please welcome Stephen Michael Quezada.
Hi.
Hey.
How you doing?
Good. How about you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good. Thank you so much for being here today.
Sure.
So, you have had a varied career with all kinds of stuff, and we want to talk about all of that, but James and I are both stand-up comedians, and we were kind of hoping that you would tell us a little bit about your experience in stand-up comedy first.
Well, I'm still doing stand-up comedy. I'm going to be playing Vegas here pretty soon, Carolinas and New York. I still do that, mostly to raise money for kids. Oh, nice. I got into comedy because I needed to feed myself. I was starving, and I was a starving actor, and I do theater. And I was a playwright and a theater actor, and started producing my own theater. And did pretty well for theater, but still no money in theater. And a guy approached me and says, "Hey, you should do stand-up comedy. I saw your last play. It was really funny. You're very funny. You're a good writer. You should try it." And I told him, "You're an idiot. Get away from me. Don't ever talk to me again. Don't come to my shows." And then, eventually, your stomach takes over after so many years. And I think I probably weighed about 115 pounds. Yeah, and I was like, I think I'm gonna have to eat eventually. And so I decided to go try stand-up comedy, and never looked back. I mean, I just kind of really fell into it, loved it, and really loved the instant gratification that stand-up comedy gets. And unlike film or television, you don't get that at all. So I still crave it, and I still love to do it.
Well, that's right. Well, did you have any influences going into it? Starting out, did you see anybody growing up?
I used to listen to Cheech and Chong albums and stuff, in the garage, because we weren't allowed to, but we'd still go, and it was a tape, actually, cassette tape. I don't know if you guys remember those. And so, they're like, cassette tape, what is that? I liked comedy, I liked funny things, but I wasn't really inspired by anybody. I think more, I was inspired about my family, and then once I kind of knew what comedy was, I knew I was able to make fun of my family and to make fun of how I grew up and where I came from, and people thought that it was funny and important that I talked about that, and I thought that was kind of cool that, because we all know sitting up here that comedy is really pain, and so I take my pain and I turn it into comedy, and so I've always done that, and I continue to do that. So if things bother me, I actually turn it into a joke.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Did you have any second thoughts usually when you were first starting to do that, making a living? Feeding yourself? Do you have any second guesses hey, this might not work?
I never did. I mean, the guy handed me $400 first time I ever did a show. It was the first show I ever did. I was a headliner first show. I never was an opener or a middle or nothing. I went straight to headliner, which was crazy. But the $400,
definitely,
it was big, And then the problem was I did really well. And then the second show, they sent me up to Flagstaff, Arizona to do the weekend there. My first night, totally bombed. I mean, I was sweating. I mean, nobody got my jokes. Ouch. Nobody understood where I was coming from. And right then and there, I knew that this was a higher skill set than I was giving it credit for, and that I needed to really learn and study. And so I started watching other comics. I mean, the comics at that time were really dirty, but I didn't really want to kind of do that. And so what I learned to do is, when I traveled, was get a newspaper from whatever town I was in. And so I still do that. The first thing I do is when I get into town, I get the newspaper, and I look at what they're reading there, and I make fun of their stuff. And then once you've done that, you can go into your material. Then they accept your material, they accept who you are. You've broken the ice, and you're good. But it seems like when you just go in with your material and kind of exclude them, that's an uphill battle, and you want to do that in comedy. Wow, but yeah, I never really regretted doing it. I loved it, and I grew at it, and I got better at it. And then, I did HBO, I did Showtime, I did Que Locos, and out of nowhere, I just kept doing it.
Absolutely, that's great.
That's awesome. So I know you're on Breaking Bad, but you also have your own show, The After Party, and we both were wondering, what's the difference between filming an episode of Breaking Bad and filming an episode of your show?
Alcohol? No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
yeah, you drink a lot on Breaking Bad. No. It is different because, you know, it's a studio audience. It still has that live feel. It's that addiction to comedy that we all have, you know, that instant gratification, that yes, you know, even though there's no money in it out here, still, you know, for comics, it's still, they do it because they love that. And that's what I get from the After Party. I still get a little bit of that. But I like to bring comics in on my show. I want to give comics an opportunity that I never had. You know, I think I've been blessed through my acting that, you know, that I want to be able to pay that forward. And that's pay forward to comedians, to people who I like to interview and talk to, and to bands and music, you know, because I love all of that. And so to have a show that showcases all of that is great. But on top of it, we get to train kids from the data school and kids from, you know, different other charter schools, and come and they work on the show, and YDI kids come in and they work on the show. And so it's important that we train our kids to really be competitive in this business. And so that was another aspect of the show and why it came to be. And that's another reason why I love it. Now, when you go to Breaking Bad, that's high pressure. You're working with Emmy, Golden Globe, SAG Award winning actors, you know, probably the best actors on the planet right now when it comes to television, in the cast of Breaking Bad. So for me, I have to take that really seriously. It's a lot of homework. It's a lot of, you know, making sure that I come in with moments and beats and certain things that you know as an actor to do, because that's what those actors do. It's not, they don't play around, it's their life. And then you realize when you're standing there that millions and millions of people are going to watch this. And so if you want to continue this career, you better do this right now. And it's really hard on television because it's a really fast moving format. You'll memorize lines the night before, you'll get to your trailer the next morning and they rewrote all your lines. Right? The writers are constantly rewriting when it comes to television. Unlike film, they don't film nothing until the script is finalized. First things first, script in a movie. Television isn't really like that. It's pretty kind of quick and fast.
I gotcha. Well, that's what brings us to our next one. With your show, it benefits youth development programs, right? And with all that at the end, want to know how that helps you. How does that make you feel, like giving back to that community? I just wanted to know if that's.
I've always been that guy. I mean, that's nothing new for me. You know, I started doing gang intervention in the '80s. You know, I grew up in the hood, and I had to fight guys to go back and forth to school, and I didn't have a really easy life. You know, and so I didn't want that for the kids, you know, anymore. And I thought, well, you know, a lot of people complain, and a lot of people, you know, that's it. They complain, but they don't come up with solutions. And so I thought, you know, I wanted to be the kind of guy that has solutions and answers to the problems.
Awesome. That's awesome. So come back with us after the break, and we'll have another segment with Stephen, Michael Quezada. Thank you.